They say patience is a virtue. Conor McGregor told Michael Chandler, Chael, that he's got the fight that's happening in 2024. How excited should Chandler be?
Did he really say that? Oh, my goodness.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Daniel Cormier. That is my main man, Chael Sonnen. Chael Sonnen, my guy, I flew on the bumpiest flight of all time last night trying to get to Fargo, North Dakota. You know where I'm at right now, Chael? I'm at a random hotel in some random city between Minnesota and North Dakota because that's how important the show is to me. Dude, I have no idea where I am, but hell, we're doing Good Guy, Bad Guy, right? So it's a good day.
I love it. I love everything about that. I was on a bumpy flight one time, and I was so nervous that I went to Kerry McCoy because he prays for people, and I hadn't even spoke to Kerry McCoy before, and I sent him a DM. He said, I'm praying for you, my friend. That plane landed, and by the way, you talk about Fargo, North Dakota, biggest wrestling tournament in the world. There's nothing in Europe. There's nothing in Cuba. There's nothing anywhere bigger than this, and they broke their own record, 8,000 competitors this year. You want to be a wrestler? You want to sit around and brag to people? There's going to be one question asked. How did you do in Fargo?
Yep, absolutely, dude. This is the biggest tournament in all of wrestling, right? Even bigger than the Olympics, not maybe in terms of accomplishment, in terms of mass numbers. There's nothing like this
which is very similar to what I just said to you 5 seconds ago. Is that where you got the idea? Did you get the idea when I just said that?
Hey, even all the way going back to Fox, I would listen to what you would say, then repeat it verbatim and act like it was mine. Listen, they say the greatest compliment in form of flattery is imitation. So at times I might take from the bad guy.
Let me ask you a real quick question, though. What was your highest place in Fargo? Because I seem to remember you were in the finals. I know you were on a world team. That was for cadet.
Yes.
Did you make the Fargo finals?
Yes,
May I ask
did.
who your opponent was?
Yeah, I did, Chael. Yep, Garrett Lowney.
Oh, jeez,
Garrett
what
Lowney.
a draw.
Two Olympians. Yeah, we
what was the score of that match?
We scrapped it up. 10-0. He got me out of there.
Yeah, gut
quick.
wrench. He probably got on top of the gut wrench. I remember Lowney. Trained with him some.
Yeah, he was a savage. You would know him because you were a Greco guy. But Chael, we could talk wrestling all day, but what we need to talk about is what we kind of started the show with. So we will ultimately get to Rose Namajunas' big win last weekend. But first, obviously, any news with Conor McGregor is generally what you lead this show with. Michael Chandler got told the other day, fight's happening in 24. To that, Michael Chandler gave Conor the old fist bump emoji, like, let's do this. Chael, I mean, look, man, I love Mike. And I say this every time. And I almost feel like, because I preface it with I love Mike, it's almost like I'm going to say something negative. But I think finally, I agree with his happiness in regards to getting the fight. Look, man, this guy has now waited 2 years to fight. He has been the butt of many, many jokes, not only by me and you, but by many, many people in the business. He's been steadfast in the idea that he will get this fight. Last week, Dustin Poirier was calling him out. Nate was talking to him. He was taking shots at different guys. It seemed like he was ready to move on. But he finally gets the pot of gold that sits at the end of the rainbow. He gets his leprechaun, Chael, or am I just kind of being like you, falling for the old banana in the tailpipe again?
Daniel, you were just not this naive. Come on, listen to me. There was a great comedy special by a comedian you might have heard of called Dave Chappelle. And Dave Chappelle takes to the stage and he tells the audience, I am such a good comedian. I can tell you the punchline and then I can tell you the joke. I can go in reverse order and still have you laugh. And he did that very thing. He gave the punchline, spent about 5 minutes, set it up, read him with the punchline, and proved to the audience how great he was. And you don't want to know why I bring you that story? Conor McGregor's doing the same thing right now. He is pulling the strings to the highest levels. Listen, do you want to know why I don't believe this fight is going to happen? For a couple of reasons. First off, he said he talked to Dana. Secondly, he's announcing his own fights. Now, in this sport, that can be very tactical, but that simply is not the way it's done. It can be tactical to announce a fight, try to create enough steam that the promotion just goes with it. But again, that's not the way it's done. If there was a big fight, Dana would announce it. And lastly, I have the calendar for the year as you do. In fact, I think I've even got it memorized. I could tell you right off the top of my head every pay-per-view, of which all of them already have a pre-assigned main event. There's nowhere for him to fight, unless he's announcing that we're going to do an entire show, which, by the way, we have done before. See Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone, like it could be done. But there's not enough info here, and I really do feel when I say that Conor's pulling the strings, Michael Chandler allegedly was offered a world title fight. He then went into business for himself, and he even called out Diaz for the Sphere. Now he's got a back and forth with Poirier, who's a massive star, and that rematch would be very big. And I just feel like once Chandler turns all of those down, Conor simply puts out a tweet and said, "I thought you were fighting for the title, Mike," as a way of showing I took all those opportunities from you just because I'm a jerk.
Chael, he could not be that evil. He cannot be that
would be evil.
He cannot
That'd
be
be
that
mean.
evil, Chael. There's no way he's that evil. He would not do that to Michael Chandler. Look, couple things you said there, I have to disagree with you, though. Michael Chandler was not offered a title fight. There's no way that you get a title fight off of a loss like he did against Dustin Poirier. Unless, Chael, unless all this waiting that we have seen Michael Chandler do is not his doing. He is waiting because the organization wants him to wait. The organization wants that to be the fight. That's the only way he would get a title fight under these circumstances. He's doing a solid for the company. He's waiting. He's not fighting anybody else. He's taking his time to try to keep that massive fight together. So they go, okay, that fight's not happening. We will reward you. That would leave such a bad taste in people's mouth. So I don't believe that he was offered a championship opportunity. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. 2, the Nate Diaz thing was never real. Nate Diaz seems to want to be back in the UFC. Nate Diaz has now won that last fight, so it gives some momentum. It would have been harder for Nate to come back after losing to Jake Paul, but when you beat George Masvidal in a boxing match, it makes it more realistic. But still, that fight's not happening. Michael Chandler's not fighting Nate Diaz. Dustin Poirier. Chael, I don't mean to be a bitter Betty, and I don't mean to be the guy that just shuts down all these avenues for Michael Chandler. They fought in his last fight, and Dustin submitted him. It's not happening. So, really, the best option for Michael Chandler is Conor McGregor. There really isn't many other options to get him a fight. It's going to be Conor McGregor.
Daniel, both parts of the statement can't be true. That part I am bullish on. Not the part that Conor's going to fight Chandler and that it's going to be in 2024. Look, it's a simple date issue, and there's just not a date left. And I'm bringing that to you. It is very relevant. Look, the Diaz fight, you're right that Chandler wasn't going to head in that direction. In fact, Diaz isn't even under contract with the organization, let alone would he have enough time within the pool. But when Chandler went that direction, when he finally put his weapon down and called out somebody else, signaling that he's not fully committed to Conor, that's when the floodgates open. The fact that Diaz, or I apologize, that Poirier is even inserting himself. If Poirier is coming back and all of a sudden he does a big flex and Conor goes after him, I mean, I do have to tell you, I think that the title fight offer was real. And there's a language used at the UFC. Let me give you an example. If somebody owes you $100 and they come to you, they don't offer you the $100 they owe you. They offer you $1,000 and you turn it down. They now no longer owe you the $100. And it is for that very reason that I believe that the title fight was in fact offered. What I'm not positive that Chandler understands, when that title fight was offered, whether it was accepted or not, that wiped the slate clean.
You know, yes, that's generally how favors work, right? You don't get to turn them down and come back to it later. But I stand firm in my belief that would have been a very difficult thing. I believe, though, Mike fights Conor. But ultimately, that's still hypothetical, right? Because for 2 years, we have been talking about Mike fighting Conor. So while it may happen,
well, DC, hold on, please. Can I pin you down on one thing? I do understand that you still think that it's Mike and Chandler and Conor. Do you believe that it's in 2024? I mean, that was a big part of Conor's claim. There's really nothing for him and Dana to be talking about if they're not agreeing on a date that's at least within this year. So do you believe that the phone call happened, and do you believe the fight happens in 24? Please tell me.
I do. I do finally believe they'll fight this year. I believe they'll fight this year, Chael. I don't know how it works. So here's what I know. I know that the Sphere is in Las Vegas. I know that there is one more pay-per-view in Las Vegas, and that's in December, right? So I don't imagine a Conor McGregor pay-per-view would be anywhere but Las Vegas. So now you're getting into uncharted territory. But hell, we just saw Dan Ige fight on 4 hours notice. So uncharted territory is an option for the UFC now. Here's the deal. You have Vegas, you have Vegas. Conor has to fight in Vegas. It's the only way. So I don't know if maybe they add a fight or something to make it work for getting Conor McGregor inside of the T-Mobile Arena. But Chael, it's like with Conor, we're constantly guessing, right? But every single time we guess at one thing, there is more things to guess at. So the other day, I'm at home with my son, and he goes, Dad, did you see the French UFC team break 2 fights for the Sphere? I was like, well, what do you mean? And then he shows me this TikTok, and on the bottom of the screen, it's like something inside the Sphere that says Topuria versus Holloway and Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. I have not heard what's happening at the Sphere. I have tried to get intel as to what's happening at the Sphere. But when you hear that, now you start to think, as the UFC says, it's going to be the greatest event we have ever witnessed. Those are the types of fights that should be atop the card. Granted, I heard that Topuria and Max aren't fighting, and Topuria went so far as to say Max was having family issues, which are not true because Max is one of my buddies. I know that, but they say they're not fighting. But I guess the French team said they are fighting. If those are the 2 fights that are atop the card, and then you add in Shevchenko Grasso, could this potentially be one of the greatest fight cards we've ever seen?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Sphere is getting out of control. I do not believe that Dana White meant for this to be the biggest event he's ever had. In fact, that was supposed to be what 300 represented. But when Dana came out and said it's a one and done, we've spent $16 million just on technology to play the Sphere. It's too complicated. It's too expensive. We're just going to do it once and we're out of here. Daniel, he made it like the Olympic Games. Dana made this must-attend, must-do event. Every fighter is coming out of the woodwork. Fighters are begging to be on this. We have world champions that are begging. I mean, let me just take you back to April of this year. We couldn't get a reigning champion to come out to the media and campaign to be the headlining spot. Even with participation built into their contracts, we only had one champion fight for that spot, and it's the one that got it in Alex Pierre. We've got them stumbling over each other, willing to be mid-card, willing to jerk the curtain for the Sphere. I really don't think that Dana, when he said, look, it's a one and done, I don't think he meant to build it this capacity. I do want to address what you said, though, because Dana put something else out. Now, I'm Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. It is one of the worst kept secrets in our sport, but it hasn't been announced. We all believe and operated on that. Now, I happened to speak to Timbo, who is the trainer of Sean O'Malley last week. He told me they are training for the Sphere, but he did not confirm that the fight was on. He just said, we have reason to believe we're taking it serious and we're training. Let me share that and move this aside because Dana tweeted out, wouldn't it be fun to do a BMF title at the Sphere? Now, when Dana said that, I didn't know how to interpret it. I'm going, hey, wait a minute. You've already got the BMF. You've already got Max versus Topuria. And if you're talking about putting up the BMF title, does that mean that you're adding it to the pot of featherweight belt? I don't think so. I don't think Dana would speak that way. I'm worried that he lost Ilia Topuria. But if he lost Ilia Topuria and he's keeping Max Holloway, allow me to be first to try to insert the name opposite Max, Charles Oliveira. You heard it here first.
That would be a sick fight. Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira would absolutely be a sick fight.
I took you on a loop there, and I apologize for being a little worried. But Dana, I don't know if you saw this tweet, and I don't think that we're making a big enough deal about it. Why would Dana say, wouldn't it be interesting to have the BMF at the Sphere? If Max is the BMF and Max was already fighting, why did he say that? Just to sweeten a fight that he's already got? Dana's a blackjack player. He doesn't split aces, my friend. I'm afraid he's lost to Topuria.
Well, Max is, after UFC 300, a guy that if you're putting on a fight card like that, Chael, after the impact he made at UFC 300 with Justin Gaethje, you have to find a way to get him on the card. So if Ilya Taporia is out, or if anybody's out, then you've got to find a way to get Max Holloway back on that card. You know, I heard that Charles Oliveira was planning to fight at the Sphere against Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega didn't make that walk at UFC 303. So maybe that stays together, or maybe Charles does get that BMF title opportunity against Max Holloway. But either way, it would be absolutely fantastic. You know, one thing that I have trouble believing is after going through the Conor McGregor thing, where nobody could find any answers on if he was fighting, if he wasn't fighting, if he was healthy, if he wasn't healthy. We went, Chael, weeks and weeks and weeks trying to figure out if this dude was going to fight, if this dude was injured, if this dude was having personal problems. Nobody knew anything. You're telling me now that the French broadcast team would drop those fights? That stuff doesn't happen. They don't make those types of mistakes, Joe. You and I know that. Nobody breaks. The fights are broken when they're supposed to be broken. When you're supposed to find out is when you find out. When that thing with Dan Ige was happening, they were able to announce it on the fight card in the arena. People didn't know. How? How was that event going on? How was Dan Ige in the middle of conversations and negotiations and nobody knew it? Ariel tweeted it maybe 15 minutes before it broke, but it took that long. I don't think that those fights would break like that, Joe. I don't think they would make those mistakes. Now, let me tell you why the Sphere is so important. You and I both work for the UFC and with the UFC. You know, when we go somewhere, we see a lot of the same people, right, Joe? You see a lot of the same runners. You see a lot of the same security. See a lot of the same people that build the octagon, do all those things. But what you also see is the same producers. All the people that produce the shows are there. Zach Candido is the coordinating producer for talent and everything. You know what he told me, Chael? He said because he's so busy with the Sphere, after Abu Dhabi, he's only working one show. When in the world have you ever seen those guys get that much time away to focus on one thing, especially when they have fights every single week? He's going next week to Manchester. Then he's going to work the pay-per-view in August, and then that's it. Dude's off. Everything else, time, energy, focus on the Sphere. That's how big this fight card is going to be.
I don't know if everybody followed what you just said, but that is tremendous, and I know exactly what you mean. If the personnel and the team that we have that goes from town to town is now fully focused on the Sphere, and even Craig Bersari and company is recognizing that to say, hey, put your feet up a little when you're done. Yeah, it is a big deal, and I think that you're actually backing up the point that I made a couple of minutes ago, which I feel as though this Sphere business has gotten out of control. I don't think Dana meant for it to be the biggest event he's ever had. I really don't. I don't think that he meant for it to outshine the other pay-per-views he's got or even eclipse UFC 300. Every fighter is begging to do it. Daniel, I've never begged for a venue. Madison Square Garden, I had the good fortune, but I never begged to be there. I've never been in the spot. You know what? Most athletes have not. It is truly coveted because of the comment that Dana said when he simply said, we're only playing this one time. That seemed to change everything. It changed with the fans. It changed with the media. It changed with the athletes. Get ready, partner, because when I was hinting to you a minute ago about the BMF belt, or maybe we lost to Poria, don't forget, with the BMF belt, we fiercely adhere to whatever rules we make up on the spot. Just because you have Max doesn't mean the BMF follows him. Dana could be having a women's fight and putting the BMF up for that.
Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine a women's BMF title? That would be fun. You see, you really are a great promoter. You're the Triple H, like the new era of promotion right now. You really try to change the game. Chael, let me tell you something. Sphere's so good, Chael, that we're getting suits to match the theme of the night. So I'm like, yo, can I wear like a black? Can Rogan wear white? And can John wear red or green, white, and red? Like the Mexican flag? Like, can we really represent out here? Can we be out here in those like suits? In the ties. I want one of them ties like that has like a circle thing that hang on the bottom like that. I don't think they're gonna let me, but I'm telling you, man, I'm trying to dress super nice for
I
the
want
sphere.
you in the white
Now,
one. By the way,
if Alexa,
I want you in the white one. I feel like Rogan is going to dominate the black market. Dom would do just fine in red.
Yeah.
Daniel Cormier, all dressed in white, out there looking like Boss Hog. Come on. I got to see that.
Oh, could you imagine me in white? Boy out there looking like an angel. Casket ready, baby. I'm ready. When you casket fresh, you know you looking good. Chill. If Alexa Grasso does fight me,
You called yourself an angel.
Valentina says
You
she
said I
doesn't
would
want to
look
fight
like
her
an angel.
on Mexican Independence Day. What'd you say?
You called yourself an angel. Who was that guy? I called you Boss Hog. You compared yourself to an angel. There was a guy from the 80s called Brother Love. And he would come out and he would say, I love you. That might be the outfit they're putting you in, partner.
And he had that red face too. I love you. He might have turned to somebody else later in his career. But Chael, if Alexa Grasso fights and Valentina doesn't want to fight, after Rose Namajunas' performance last weekend, can it be Rose that fights for the title against Alexa Grasso at the Sphere? Because like we can agree, right? Alexa has to be on Mexican Independence Day, right? Like she has to fit into this equation somehow.
Yes, I fully agree with that. I don't know how we got to this point and we're skipping over Valentina. I actually called Ian Parker this morning just getting ready for this show. I said, hey man, am I missing something? How have we stuck with Grasso? We did the Ultimate Fighter, all of a sudden Valentina's out. I said, there's got to be a headline somewhere that I missed. Valentina was very bullish on the idea that she was not going to do this fight in Las Vegas. She said, as a matter of fact, we got to go to my home country. Now, the UFC has never played her home country, so I didn't take it as a literal statement, but as we get closer, I'm not hearing of illness and I'm not hearing of injury. I'm just hearing that she's refusing to do it. I'm not reporting that. By the way, I'm fully admitting that I haven't heard, but we seem to be glossing right over finding somebody new for Grasso and not having to have a discussion as to where is Valentina. And if you want to insert Rose, yes. You want to know somebody who has been slighted over here? It's Rose. She goes out, beats Joanna Champion, and she beat her so handedly that she had to go out and do it again because nobody could believe it happened. She did the same thing to Wei Lee. She had to go out and do it again because nobody believed that it happened the first time. Where's her thank you? Why don't we shine up Rose? She's changing weight classes. She's looking great. She's taking main events on short notice. Yes, you could absolutely put Rose into a world title fight and there would be nothing within the pundits, the fellow ladies in the locker room, or the rankings that would dispute that.
You know who would be really mad? Manon Fior. That's who should be moving into a title fight if Alexa Grasso doesn't have an opponent. You ask me, how in the world do we move past Valentina? Well, we're not. We're only reacting in response to her saying that she doesn't really want to fight on Mexican Independence Day. She doesn't love fighting under those circumstances. Last time she fought Mexican Independence Day, Chael. Very close fight, a fight in which she thought she won. It ultimately ended up being a draw. So to me, that tells me she feels like the response and the reaction from the crowd played a factor in the scoring of the fight. So I get why she would be hesitant. But I'm not certain, Chael, that the fight card will be it'll be on Mexican Independence Day. I don't know that it will be as much of a pro Mexican crowd as it was last year at T-Mobile Arena. Last year, it felt like I was watching the fights whenever we went to Mexico City and Kane fought Fabricio Verdum. That's how much representation they had from Mexican Americans and Mexican people to watch their champion defend her title against Valentina Shevchenko. But I believe that the Sphere will be a very, very hard ticket to get. So I don't know that the representation will be as high in that fight night. But Manon Fior, she just beat Erin Blanchfield, who we have all said, Chael, is the next one up, is the next person, a future champion, a champion in the making. Manon Fior beat her in the main event. Same thing. That's like, I like Rose, man. And yes, Rose does warrant a title fight if one was presented. But Rose lost to Manon Fior. It's like, if you have two people, Chael, in the same situation, fighting under the same circumstances, you got to go to head-to-head. And then you see that tells me Fior should probably be next. She doesn't have the name value though that Rose has, so maybe that plays a part. But sure, Rose could get a title fight, but I would vote for Manon
Well,
Fior.
and Daniel, there is a game that goes on, right? I mean, there is a game to be played. I think that Rose needs to be very aggressive. I think that she is in a fight with Fior right now. I think she needs the mandate of the masses, maybe even the blessing of Grasso. Maybe you get that by being nice. Maybe you go out there and you get under the champ's skin. But head-to-head competition, and I fully do agree with you. I will just show you UFC Perth where Sean Strickland beat Izzy head-to-head, but Izzy's getting the nod. There was something about the matchup. There was something about the parity. There was something about the location. And I love the point that you had the courage to make about how much representation will come from Mexico and Mexican crowd, because I don't know what the Bullet is doing. The Bullet said, I want to fight at home. Now, I don't have any other information. I haven't been told that she's has illness and or injury. If she does, I only wish her well. But if she is hanging strong on this idea that we've got to do a homer for me, Grasso, Mexican Independence Day, they held the fight in Las Vegas. I don't understand the point. I don't understand Valentina's point. You know, Tyson Fury went through something very similar. He fought a Ukrainian. They went to a decision. He said the judges are going to favor him because his country is at war. He took a lot of heat for that. People were upset. They thought that was a really callous thing to say. I think it's a fair thing to keep into consideration. Maybe a little motivation to not let it go to the judges' hands. But it's the oldest rule in the business, partner. The show goes on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard pill for most. I think Valentina though is as level-headed as anyone in this game. So you would think that she knows that, right? Because she knows that as a long-reigning champion, you just kind of when she needed an opponent, they would offer it to multiple people. Whoever took it, took it. If they didn't, they would go to the next person. But what I do like about Valentina and how she is playing this, if I have to play devil's advocate, Chael, I think she recognizes that this is it, right? If she doesn't get past her this time, it's over. Because she got submitted the first time, she got went to a draw the second time. If she gets that third opportunity and she doesn't get it done, it's over. So I think she recognizes that and understands the importance of making sure that she wins this fight. I got an idea for you, though, Chael. How about this one? Joanna, who says that there's some fight left in her. We saw her and Rose fight before, but it was kind of a fast fight in the Joanna's championship reign. How about Rose versus Joanna for the BMF title?
Oh, come on. I'm in for that all day. I was just with Joanna. She came out. She got inducted into the Hall of Fame. I got to visit with her backstage. First off, she looks fantastic. You know, she still got the gimmick. I love when she holds up that one finger. I know that's simple, but I loved it when Boss Rutan used to do it. You want to do anything, Joanna, I'm on board. You want to call her BMF? I'm on board. I would only offer you this. I'm not bullish that that's going to happen, but I love the idea. But I would offer you this. Let's just say that we did that and that Rose won. I do think that we would need to at least show Rose the respect that she gets to cash that golden ticket in the same way as we believe Max Holloway should be able to in the form of a world title fight. I feel like Rose's success has surprised a lot of people. I feel like Rose has beaten some people and we have dismissed it. She caught her. She got lucky. It was a one-time kick. I just think that Rose is a lot better. I think that she's one of the best female fighters to have ever done it. I think her 2 world championships represents that. And I think that her longevity, Rose is younger than a lot of people understand. She just got a real early start in the sport. I'll leave it at that. But if I got to shine Rose's tires a little bit, man, I'm happy to do it.
She really does deserve her flowers because on so many instances, it seems as though it's going to start going sideways for Rose Namajunas, but she always rights the ship. And on Saturday night, you could see that she still does represent the elite of whatever division she's fighting at. So if you're going to be able to beat Rose Namajunas, you better be one of the absolute best. Chael, I'd be in for that fight. 1,000%. I believe the build-up would be great. I believe the fight would be great. I just don't know if Joanna Jędrzejczyk wins. Does she continue to fight? I honestly believe also this makes a point where there should be a sit-out period before someone can go into the Hall of Fame. Because then you have a whole bunch of Hall of Famers that are still continuing to compete. I think once you're in the Hall of Fame, it should signal the end of a career. So I think that a 3 years retired. I think the NBA is like 5 or the NFL is like 5, where you sit out, people know that you're actually done, then you become a Hall of Famer. I just don't know if Joanna fights, she comes back if it's not a one-off, right? You would want her to be fighting consistently and fighting for a real long time. But in terms of a fun fight, I can't think of many funner than Rose Namajunas.
Daniel, I got to tell you, what I love the most is that you suggested the fight 2 minutes ago. You forgot you suggested it, and now you're arguing against your own idea. I mean, I love that. No, I think that's very fun. You got Fargo on your mind. I fully get it. You want to know what we are doing? We're giving the bullet a bit of a pass. I'll go back to it a third time just so I sound like a gentleman. If there is illness and or injury, I apologize for everything. Daniel, we've known about the spear. I mean, you want to talk about the perfect scenario? You want to talk about the fact that she's been booked for 10 rounds and hasn't found a way to get the job done against Grasso and that she's only got one more opportunity? I agree. But what more can you do? We knew when they faded to black and rolled the credits 1 year ago at this fight for Mexican Independence Day that they were going to rematch. We went to the Ultimate Fighter and we knew they were going to rematch. We knew where the building was. We had time to get everything absolutely dialed in with no speed bump. No, you must win one before you come into this. I mean, she hadn't won a fight in 3 fights. I don't know of a title challenger who's ever been given such an opportunity. And then to pull out this far in advance because of a location issue, Daniel, we sure checked a lot of boxes, man. It doesn't seem like you could get much of a better situation.
Yeah, I don't think it's smart. But again, you don't know how much of that's true, right? Yeah. We know that at times people are just kind of talking. She might have been voicing some frustration. Look, man, what I've learned, and I think this started with Cody Garbrandt and Conor McGregor, or Uriah and Conor McGregor. Just because you coach the Ultimate Fighter nowadays doesn't always mean that you guys are going to fight. Because now that's happened on a few occasions. Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler being one of those instances where that fight still hasn't happened. All right, Chael, I got to get to the tournament, bro. I still got 30 miles to drive to get there to watch my boys try to become national champions. As always, love doing the show with you, my brother. You are the best. I love your creativity. I love your commitment to the show. You have made the show so much better. Guys, Chael and I are here every Monday and every Thursday. ESPN MMA YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Do not miss any episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. Look, guys, I mean, I'm pulling on the side of the road.
Here's your hat. What's your hurry?
Come on, don't miss it.
Tell your story walking.